The sheep is on fire. I'm singing. The sheep is on fire. The sheep is on fire. Welcome, Croiso. Welcome to Tafad Tan. Doidashimashite. Welcome in Nihon, which is Japanese. Another dragon. We are in the castle, and I am here in the castle, and you have just joined us, and I say again, welcome to all our viewers, families, people, communities. This is a shed that we're in inside the castle, and on my right we have Mr. Johann Sebastian. This is the full one. Flap sandwich.
Bonjour.
Bonjour, monsieur. And on my left of me, right here, we have Max Levi.
Hello, everybody. Gentlemen dragons and lady dragons. And nice to be with you again.
At the Achenval. And our guest for today, special guest, is Ele Burns. Eleanor, how's it going? So welcome to Tafad Tan. How was your day been so far?
Short, because I don't normally get up in the morning at all on Mondays. So yeah, I just got up especially for this.
So you don't like Mondays, or you like Mondays?
I love Mondays because I work Sundays, so normally I just get to sleep until all hours on a Monday.
Oh,
Sorry about that.
No, it's
so
okay.
we're sorry for disturbing you to bring you into a shed
It does me good every night.
in the castle. Yeah. So Eleanor, yeah, how do you feel about speaking to me, to Max Levi, to Flap Sandwich, yeah, on a Monday, and we've dragged you out of bed?
I love speaking to all of you. I've been doing nothing but for years and years now. Well, Max is a new friend, but I love speaking to you as well. You two are both old friends.
Yeah.
Where are you going?
Sorry, you can carry on with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Ah. Oh dear.
So when I met you, how long ago was it? How long have we been friends now?
I can't remember if we
When was
met
it?
before I went to China. I went to China in about 2006, I think. 2000, yeah, it was 2006. We might have met briefly before then. I seem to recall hanging out in chapter with you when you were dressed in this wonderful ancient Egyptian headdress style. It was a magnificent costume. I was in awe the moment I saw you. But I don't think we got to know each other well until I came back in 2007.
Oh yeah, because you just come back from China, and you were teaching English,
yes,
in China, and you were studying. You'd been studying before, and you'd passed a degree in.
I've got degrees in English literature. Not the most useful subject, but yeah, haven't really done a lot with them except teaching in China.
Yeah. So, how did you find China?
That was
What was your
amazing.
experience?
It was really amazing. I was very nervous going out there. I mainly just went out there because I couldn't get any work here, and that was the best thing going at the time. But yeah, it was a year out there was just a transformative experience. I've never felt so vulnerable yet independent, just being in this place where I didn't really understand how anything worked and sort of having to wing it day by day and just learn how to get by. I got food poisoning about 3 times there from eating in dodgy places. So I just learned to cook for myself out there. I had to pretty much make up the teaching as I went along because they didn't give me any training of any sort, really.
None.
No, we witnessed a couple of lessons by previous teachers, but it wasn't anything we could really had time to take on board.
And how were they dropping it?
The students or the teachers?
The teachers.
They were dropping it in. Hard to say, really. They all had their own different styles. The only style I remember was one who would use lessons from the book for the first half of the lesson, and then they'd use the contents of China Daily, I think it was. It was the only English language paper we had access to out there. And they'd just pick an article and use that for the second one. I couldn't find much use in that style, though, because, I mean, it was okay for some of my students, but a couple of them were not really up to the level of newspaper articles. They were, yeah. We'll put it this way: we were supposed to be getting them to a level where they had enough English. Yeah, you can see how qualified I am for this job. English to be airline pilots, and some of them weren't able to distinguish left from right in English. Yeah. And English being the universal language of airline pilots, this was a problem. Another of the guy I was lodging with at the time, there's reasons for that, of course. He tested them on other concepts and found it was disturbing. They didn't know such words as fuselage and undercarriage and things like that, or air traffic control and things like this.
And they didn't know at all?
Not all of them. Some of them did fail. I think a couple from my class failed.
And how did they feel about that? What did they take failure?
Hard to say, because they weren't able to express their feelings to me in English. I know some of the ones who were more fluent were very angry that I didn't give them like 100%, because they were calling me, demanding that I retake the test, that I let them retake. And I was calling them back saying, please tell me where you got my mobile phone number from.
So how did you know, left from right? How did you actually get them to know?
I think you just write it on the blackboard, basically. And left, right, yeah. Or get them to march or something. They were probably quite used to that, because the drill instructors were absolute tyrants.
Yeah. So repetition, reps.
Yeah, repetition was bad.
So when you how long were you there for?
Just under a year.
Under a year. And then what was it like when you got on the plane to come back? What were you thinking?
I was very sad, actually.
Why?
Multiple reasons. First, I knew there wasn't much to come back to. Secondly, I just met someone out there who I thought I could have, if I'd had more time, I could have started a relationship with.
Yeah.
And yeah, she was really lovely. And oh gosh.
What was her name?
I never knew her Chinese name. Everyone always introduced themselves by these English pseudonyms they'd come up with. Hers was Blue Jade.
Blue Jade.
Blue Jade, yes.
See.
So she saw me to the airport, actually. Knowing there was very little chance I'd be able to come back, and indeed there was never any chance of me being able to come back, because almost as soon as I came back, they upped the requirements for going out there, annoyingly. But yeah, going through Beijing Airport was the most pleasant experience I've ever had in an airport. It was really smooth and efficient. I wasn't waiting for more than an hour in the airport before I was on the plane. We were in the air. And, flew back, watched Pan's Labyrinth on the in-flight movie.
In-flight movie, was what was the meals like? What did you have?
Oh, meals were never great, but there was vodka, so you can't complain. Sorry.
So after you had a munch and this, that, the other, right? How many hours does it take from there to touchdown?
It's a long one. It's about 8-9 hours or something.
My gosh.
And then we were in, where was it? I think it was Heathrow rather than Gatwick. I can't remember which. No, it was Gatwick. And when we were off the plane, I then had to wait 3 hours whilst the baggage came around. I think there was some sort of strike going. And I was surrounded by these Chinese tourists who were just looking increasingly flabbergasted at their first taste of British efficiency as they waited 3 hours for their own possessions to arrive at them. And I stepped out of the airport, and all I could, it was just grey, and everyone seemed so fat and listless and miserable. And in Beijing, it's like everyone's kind of well, not everyone, but most people, especially the people on campus, because it was mostly young people, it's very petite and very well dressed. And quite the contrast to the image you have of a communist country. I mean, it's just the sort of difference in styles between people. They all looked like they really had their own individual expression. I've seen very, very many unique sort of fashions out there, which I really admired. And I come back to Britain and everyone just looks slovenly and grey and dismal, and it's like a zombie film. And it's like, oh, just send me back, please.
What airports
I think that was
did
Gatwick.
you land at? You landed at Gatwick.
I think it was Gatwick.
Yeah.
I can't remember for certain.
And then
I was close to Reading, so...
did you catch a coach from there down to Cardiff, or was it a train?
My parents picked me up and we went by the train.
And what was it like when they met you at the airport?
It was nice to see them again, of course, but it couldn't take away from the bitterness of the occasion, being back in Britain and wondering how the hell do I make this work now.
And so your journey back in the car, yeah?
No train.
They came train?
They came by train to meet me.
Oh, excellent. And so the journey back on the train, what was that like? How did you feel? You know, long flight.
I was pretty exhausted by then. I guess I was just ready to get some sleep.
Yeah.
I remember when I got back home, my first reactions, I took a look at my bedroom, was, my God, I couldn't remember forgotten how cluttered it was, how much junk I had. Because in Beijing, I just had a really empty room, which I'd gotten used to, and I just felt so much better to have few possessions. So the first thing I did was a massive declutter, which made me feel a bit better. Just loads of stuff straight down to the charity shop.
Yeah, I've started doing a bit of decluttering.
Feels good.
Haven't I?
Yes.
So what exactly have you got rid of so far?
Oh dear.
Myself. I'm hearing it.
He's a quiet me. He's going in the wrong direction. He's a quiet me.
Yeah. So you came back. So what was the first week like being back at home?
Ooh.
Tell me how you felt and what was going.
It was grim because I didn't know what I was going to do for work. I had no real plans or hopes. I knew my parents also, they wanted to sell a house in Cardiff and move up to the Shetland Islands. And while I was welcome to join them up there, I had absolutely no desire to live there.
Yeah.
Because it's isolation to the max up there. It's like the Welsh Valleys, only it's pushed out into the North Sea and miles away from anywhere you can escape to.
Yeah, and so that was definitely, you was not going.
No, it's
they wanted you to go.
They kind of wanted the whole family up there, but there's absolutely nothing to do up there. I mean, my sister's been up there for years now, and work is next to unobtainable. She's working for less than minimum wage and some freelance online stuff. So that doesn't give you much of a life, especially if you're trapped.
Trapped down there, yeah.
It's a place to retire to, not a place to live and work.
Yeah. So you made the decision, yeah, that you wasn't going.
Well, I wanted to make the decision I wasn't going. The problem was I had to make a decision what else I was going to do because I had really no prospects at the time. Yeah, and I had no friends at the time because I didn't know anyone anymore.
But you had a degree in literature.
Yeah.
You taught English in China. You've gone over there on your own. Yeah. You worked over there. Right. So, and then you came back. And then Shetland Islands was where your parents were going to go. There's no prospects down there as far as you're concerned. So what changed after that? They gone to Shetland Islands. So you were left in the house.
Well, it took a long time. I was, I guess one of the first things that changed was I was just getting so depressed, and I was myself isolated, and because coming back, and I lost all contacts I had in Cardiff. Then I bumped into you again.
Yeah. When did we bump in? Was it Chapter?
It probably was Chapter.
Yeah.
Chapter I used to hang around in a bit, just not doing very much. But I mean, I'd go down there for poetry readings as well because my mother was a poet. Well, she is a poet.
Your mum?
Yeah.
Is a poet. And where was she doing a poetry reading?
She'd do them in Chapter sometimes.
Oh, yeah. And has she got any books? Does she write?
Yeah, she's got a good few books, a couple of novels, and quite a lot of poetry collections. Her name's Sheena Pugh.
Sheena Pugh. Big up Sheena Pugh. Yeah.
Big up Sheena Pugh.
Islands, yeah. Right from here. We're coming to you. Pugh. Yeah. So poetry. Yeah. Max.
Yes.
Yeah. Who's
Yes.
a poet. Have you got a poem that you can read us about change, you know? Or adventure, you know, someone who, yeah, like
I probably
Eleanor has gone on an adventure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I ask, Eleanor? Did you read any Chinese literature at all over these years? Did you when?
I read a few short stories before I went out there. The only one I remember distinctly is The Peony Lantern, about some young nobleman who ends up accidentally falling in love with a corpse. And
right.
yeah, it doesn't end happily. But Tim Burton used it to make a nice, sweet story out of, didn't he?
All right, yeah.
And I read the first volume of The Story of the Stone, which is a really long Chinese novel. Couldn't have grabbed me much because I didn't bother picking up any of the other volumes of it. But yeah, I tried to read a bit of the literature before I went out there.
Right. With those two you mentioned, they recent, sort of 20th century?
Oh, good grief. No, both probably, well, from European terms, medieval, I guess.
Right.
Oh, no, The Story of the Stone, I think it's kind of 17th century.
Right,
So maybe post-Renaissance.
That's good. Sorry, I have to find one which seems suitable. So a poem about change, is that what you suggest?
Yeah. What's the poem about change?
Well, Max is flicking it. Just to put it into context, Ellie, when was this? What year are we talking about?
2008, 2009, probably around the time I bumped into Ninja again, and I think
to Buffalo. Was it
you
Buffalo?
took me to Buffalo.
Yeah. We hung out to it.
Yeah, I met a few people in Buffalo because I was just temping at the time. It was the only way I could get any work, and I met some of the people I'd worked with down in the dismal dumps of East Cardiff, where they have all the warehouses and the temporary work going. Tom, I think that was
Tom.
Yeah, yep,
Thomas Aquinas.
I'd met him working down in Rumney, so we bumped into him in Buffalo. Still bump into each other occasionally over the years.
We went Fuel as well,
But
didn't
we went to Fuel, I think.
Did you like Fuel?
I did like Fuel.
Yeah.
I've still been to Fuel now and again. But I think the big change was when it must have been around the time you two were doing the sandwich show, because that was when you introduced me to Jason, and also around the same time you introduced me to Matt, who I hope we'll have on the show at some point.
Yeah, Matt.
Certainly should.
Big up Matt. Next week.
Big up.
Yeah.
Matt Spud.
Matt Spud, get the sandwiches ready, yeah? Oh, yeah.
Fly shit sandwich.
Fly shit.
Oh, God.
Oh.
Well, yeah. Yes, I suppose he should account for that, really. That's not what he's really about. His heart wasn't in that. Anyway, for context, Matt worked in a cafe, his wife's cafe, in Cardiff, but he was not happy doing that job. The cafe had kind of died on its arse because they started doing roadworks in St. Mary's Street, and that killed his traffic. So he was pretty lonely in there, but he's a really interesting guy to talk to, and then just took me in there. Yeah,
we went in there, and then this genius here came up with a sandwich deal? Yeah, you gave him the sandwich deal. No, your flap sandwich. For fuck's sake. Yeah, got me to do what? You remember Subway sandwich? If you look back again, the Subway sandwich where he made me phone up Subways. Yeah, what man, yo? We want a flap sandwich. I beg your pardon. I say, listen, rude boy, we want a flap sandwich. Where we haven't got a flap sandwich. A sandwich. Yes, we have a sandwich. Yeah, one with hair in it. pubic hair.
Ew. Ew.
Look, what did you say? Public. We are public. No, I didn't say public.
Are we ready to
Listen,
raise the tone yet?
I didn't say public. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, Matt Sputnik, we have get him on there. Yeah. So when you went to Fuel, yeah, you bumped into some friends that you knew before, or was it new friends that you became a socialite with? Because yeah,
It must have been you, French.
yeah.
Well, then again, wait a minute. It must have been sometime. I mean, looking a bit further ahead, because I mean, when you introduced me to Matt, that's how I started sort of coming out of my shell, meeting people more, and I spent a little time down near London trying to find work, and then came back again because that didn't work out, and then I did meet a group of friends who started meeting in places like Fuel and Bogies, who no longer exists, that club, sadly. They turned it into more student flats, being Cardiff. Yeah.
They've gone student flat
They've gone all
crazy.
student flats, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I won't be coy about this. That particular group of friends I connected with because I answered an online post looking for groups that would be supportive to trans people. Because at the time I wasn't out as transgender. That was a big pressure on me as well. So I decided I need some friends I can really be open with about that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I wasn't open with you at the time about that. It took a while to open up about that.
You couldn't confide in us.
You couldn't confide, no, because I got something.
I'm offended, Kelly.
I didn't understand to start with. Yeah, you said I got something to tell you, right? But I'm not telling you yet. I'll tell you next time.
At the time, I felt it was something to be very ashamed of. The message I got from places in general and from the media I was seeing at the time was it was certainly nothing to be proud of. So you probably want to play safe about that. So I ended up anyway looking online to see what groups, and I found this Cardiff Munch group. It was mostly BDSM thing, I will be honest, but there were trans people in the group as well, so I thought fair enough. And unexpectedly, I eventually met my husband to be through that group.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah, voila, woo. Yeah.
Cal, lovely French boy called Cal, who is also transgender. And we just met at someone's wake, weirdly. I'm a member of the group who committed suicide, drowned himself in Cosmeston Lake.
And you were reborn out of that?
I was eventually reborn out of that. It still took a couple of years. We got married with still neither of us were out except to each other and to a few friends. And then towards the end of 2014, we made the decision, right, we've got to come out now.
Because you went France. Mm-hmm. You went to the wedding.
I was there.
And you didn't bring me. What a cunt. What a fucking cunt. Yeah.
You would have been
Well,
welcome.
you're not capable of bringing yourself.
Huh?
I've got to bring you. Can't you just bring yourself?
You know, I didn't have any organisation skills because I got brain damage. You had to show me how to turn the computer on, and you left me.
You didn't say you wanted to go, mate. You didn't say you wanted to go.
I didn't say I wanted to go.
Oh dear.
Did you ask?
I didn't know that was an issue. Did you?
That was
Did you invite him to the wedding?
I can't remember. You would have been welcome.
Why am I feeling guilty all of a sudden? What the
Because
fuck?
you know French. You were in France. You've been springing around France. You had Paul, who's not Paul anymore. It's Louis. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Being chased by
Transitioned.
a cow through fields.
Yes, but
Yes.
you never said at any point that you wanted to be in France
But you never
or
asked
for the
me.
wedding. Well, you could have told me. Well, I've got to check in every 6 months. You want to go to France?
Well, I didn't know. That, yeah. What was happening? I just.
Well, you didn't know there was a wedding on with one of your closest friends.
Well, I heard there was a wedding on. Yeah. I knew there was a wedding because it'd been mentioned, but I didn't know. Yeah. I wasn't.
Okay, I'll take you to Paris. When do you want to go, babes?
Yay!
Me and you in Paris, yeah? Romantic weekend. It's on, baby.
I can
It's on.
recommend. I can totally recommend that restaurant that you got me into. I have to mention this one. He gave us a wedding present. Flat Sandwich there gave us a wedding present, which was a ticket for a a meal on the Eiffel Tower, restaurant on the first stage of the Eiffel Tower, which I believe was called Opera 50 or something like that.
Nice.
It was a stunning meal that we had there, and we had a view over the city. I mean, it was night at the time, but Paris at the night time is a beautiful sight.
You got pictures? Did you take any pictures?
I forgot to take any pictures inside though, sadly. There'll be pictures online, I'm sure it'll be a famous place. And yeah, the service was incredible, and I got so drunk because my hubby's a teetotaler and they just kept pouring on the complimentary champagne. But it was amazing. We just had to book in there under a false name because of the tickets.
Okay, should we have you got a poem for us, Max? Should we do it now, and then we'll come back to Ali then? 1 second. Let's get the mic right in your gob so we can hear you. Nice and close.
Okay. This poem is called Sturdy Stalwart Stance. And it's from my book, Gaslit by a Madman, Illuminated Poems, which is a short book of 36 poems done with collages.
Collages.
Illuminated with the pictures, different pictures to
illuminated.
Bring them to life a little bit more. I stand still and silent. All around me, the world is still too violent. There is so much to lament. Who will not accuse me if they see me reflect upon the life that they have made for me, so misery pecked? What evil do I conceal? How far might I go against the Tao? Isn't to truly think to risk it all? If they see me turning my back on them, if they see me turning my gaze to its inner rim, won't they chase me with raised pitchforks? Won't they burn me like Guy Fawkes? To become something I'm not already, based upon a moment of chance. To finally become something that I am, based on a sturdy stalwart stance. So many worries I had overcome, then the doctors cocked their gun, setting my mind back fully asleep for another agonizing decade deep. Stop in your tracks and you are deemed crazy by all around you, unconscious and lazy. Thank you guys. Thank you guys.
Bellissimo. Bellissimo. Max Levi.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's available on Amazon.co.uk as well.
Available on Amazon.
In colour or black and white. Much more economically priced in the black and white edition. Obviously, very affordable.
There we go. So that's Gaslit by a Madman by Max Louis. Look it up on Amazon.co.uk.
Now, transformation, as you were saying, yeah. After coming back from, tying the knots, stuffing your faces in Eiffel Tower and all of that, right? Rare. Yeah. Then you came back. Yeah. What happened then when you came back after your honeymoon?
It was a very uneventful year when I was just so intoxicated on the experience of France. All I could think about was, I don't want to be in Cardiff anymore. I just want to be in France now. And for a while, I'm kind of back there again now post Brexit. To be honest, problem is I have to work out what I would do citizenship wise because I no longer have an inherent right to be over there. Annoyingly. That came to an end though at the end of 2014, like I said, because we both decided, we are sick of not living as our best selves. We want to finally take this decision, this leap, yes.
Yeah.
And the risk.
Yeah. And I remember you saying you wanted to talk to me. You couldn't, I bumped into you. Couldn't say what you were going to say now, but when you see me next time, you will
that sounds
explain.
Very likely, yes.
I went to see Matt. I dressed up as, was it Ninjina Jackson or something like that? Right. Went to the sandwich shop. Yeah. or Ninja Monroe. Well, there was an event that was gonna. I don't mean Ninja.
I thought it was Ninjina and Ninjarella.
Listen,
It's fucking Minja, bro.
square head, give me the fucking mic back, man.
Oh, oblong head. Minja.
Tits on a chair. Come on now, right? So we were prior to that, yeah. No, there was a dance was being happening, sick notes, at that place with the owl down at
Goody Who.
Goody Who.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I had to bring them on stage. So I'd come and I got sandwiches from Met Up or something with Matt and was all there. Key Street, yeah.
I remember.
And then I was going to be down at Goody Who.
I do remember
later
you seeing at Goody Who was Ninjina, but that was must have been around 2012ish or 2000. Oh, I can't remember.
Okay, so just to get it into perspective then, Cal had never told anybody about his sort of transgender feelings before he transitioned, and was that the same for yourself?
Well, it was the same for myself. I'd come out to one family member who shall remain nameless because they were not supportive.
Okay.
Cal had also come out to a family member, also best remain nameless. They weren't as unsupportive, but they still tried to encourage him that it might just be a phase.
Right.
He'd also come out to an alternative hippie therapist who disappointingly had been all, oh, no, that's just your mind playing tricks on you, and your body is as God intended, so you should learn to love yourself that way. Which, he obediently tried to do, and it didn't work.
So maybe in your case then, can you remember how far back you first felt these feelings of being in the wrong body, if you like?
Since I could define them, which would have been when I first saw a documentary showing someone transitioning. That would have been in my early teens. I'd never heard of the concept before, and then it just all sort of fell into place. And then it was like, right now I know this, what the hell am I going to do about it? And so it took me another year or two before I came out to that family member, and that went down so badly. I just tried to bury it for so long.
Yes, so opening the conversation, like to a family member or anything, it must have took a lot of how did you build up to that? Did you plan and say I'm gonna sit the person down and talk to them then and see what happened and just come out, or did you struggle before you went to try?
I pictured all sorts of scenarios in my head, but it went more negatively than I could have imagined. They told me to get out, and later they told me I was sick. So it's like
that's crushing. That.
This was back in the 90s. There wasn't much understanding back then. I guess the liberal ethos at the time was still to sort of, you had to be accepting of gay people, as only right and proper, of course, but trans people had not really entered the dialogue. That was still seen as something pervy.
Yeah. So, so you came out to this family member. The experience was bad, right? What was the effect on that at that period of time? With you after? Did you argue with them and try to put no?
No, I just felt so ashamed. I felt, oh God, they must be right. I've got to try and shape up and become a man, and it just really went down badly.
But you could bust it in nearly 10 pull-ups, because you had your pull-up bar. I had my pull-up bar.
Yeah.
So you were strong.
Yeah, I thought I did paradoxically think if I work on building my upper body strength, then I'll magically become an alpha male.
But you had yours hang on the door, and mine does as well. That's what I'm saying, right? And
yeah, but you are an alpha male. I'm definitely not.
Well, am I?
You're the alpha male, yeah.
Oh, fuck it.
It takes the alpha to dress as Ninjina and just walk around town with perfect aplomb, and then return to being the alpha straight afterwards.
See, yeah, and your eye for detail, because I remember the aeroplanes and stuff that you put together.
I put together airplanes. I had a little destroyer, I remember.
Yeah, there was a detail in it. No,
As an
quite a few.
airfix sketch.
No, it was absolutely
No, thank you.
amazing. I couldn't believe it.
Never bothered to paint it, though.
Huh?
I never bothered to paint it, though.
No, but it was there. Look, the detail in the models and the making, I couldn't believe
thank
it.
you.
And also your articulation on certain feelings that I could feel, but I couldn't express in words and stuff like that. You could always have a word to express that. And another one is your sister is a brilliant musician. Guitarist and all of that.
A guitarist. I don't know if she still plays anymore. I haven't heard anything about that for a while. So.
Just to go back to the transgender thing a minute, just to finish up there. So after you got to the family member, was it not until you met Cal that you then spoke about it openly with someone?
It wasn't until I met Cal. You're right.
Yeah.
Are we running out of time then?
No,
good.
No, we're fine. We normally
Could you
finish.
tell us what that issue means to you in your own words? You know, how you would explain that issue to somebody who's uninitiated with it, or
Well, it's simply. I mean, everyone has their own different way of expressing it. To me, it was simply a perception that I could not be my best self unless I was fully a woman, or as fully as possible in any way. I can't explain that.
Right.
It was a profound.
okay, it's interesting.
Spiritual feeling, I suppose I could say. I just felt it was necessary, and it's proven correct as far as I'm concerned anyway.
In that you are happier as a woman.
I feel more fulfilled. I feel happier.
Yeah.
I don't feel consistently happy, but then we've just had a year's worth of plague, which completely screwed up what was a nice little gig for me. So, yeah. But prior to then, everything was kind of finally on an upward spiral for me.
Okay. Could I just ask you to go into the experience of coming out? Because I can't think of anything more terrifying than coming out after you've been married to Cal in a, I guess, normal wedding, to then come out to all the family who I guess none of them knew.
Every time we had to come out to like one more person or two more people, it was always a new stage. It was never a general announcement. It was like, maybe we're now at the stage where I can come out to Jason, and maybe now I can come out to Matt, maybe now I dare come out to my manager at work. That's a nervous one.
That one was on, yeah.
Cal was even more reticent. It was like, oh, do I dare come out to my parents? Do I dare come out to my uncle? That was a negative one. Cal's uncle was not very supportive.
No.
Do I dare come out to my friends? Then you find that, Cal has lost some friends as a result of the process. I've been generally lucky. I don't think I have lost any friends. Nope, I haven't lost any friends. No, I haven't. Everyone I came out to has supported me, more or less.
Can I ask, are you up to date on sort of all the different genders that were talked about nowadays? Are you up to date with that, and do you have an understanding or opinion of what that means, just on the subject in general, rather than your own?
I don't think there's really any point in trying to enumerate the categories. I see the LGBTQ, etc., getting longer and longer, and it's like that's commendable in a way, but I'm almost in favor of doing away with the acronym and coming out with an umbrella term, because if this means anything, it means that there is an infinity of potential categories. It's not a digital divide. It's like some beautiful analog spectrum with endless points on it. Anyone has the right to call themselves what they like according to their own true feelings, as far as I'm concerned.
I had to get size 10
Thank you.
heels.
Thank you.
Right? Size 10. I had to get size 10 heels because, size 11 because I'm size 10.
Are we going to talk about them, Gina?
Yeah, and when you were playing, Sick Note was playing, where's that now?
Sonic Lodge?
No, not that one, on Albany Road, up there, City Road.
The Globe?
The Globe, yeah.
The Globe. Yeah, I never knew, because I'd never walked upstairs in a pair of heels before. So even though I'd brought on sick note, and that I had to go and walk. So I stopped a couple of girls and said, you know, we were thinking, excuse me, love, yeah. How do you go up the stairs? Do you put the heel down right when you go up the stairs, or because I didn't want to lose my
Elan, grace,
Elegance.
poise.
yeah
Elegance.
elegante, correct. So because I knew, right, that if I got it wrong, I would fall down those stairs, right?
That's what banisters are for.
Yeah. But there was people coming up and down, and they're quite wide. So she said, yeah, you just can put the fronts on. So that's what I did. And I went up the stairs. And then the other one was, I went to go to the toilet, right? And I went straight into I stopped at first, and I looked at the men's, and I looked at the ladies, and I looked at I mean, this was, you know what I mean? This was like really, really good. You know, I was like, yeah. I just said, oh, fuck it. And I just went straight into the ladies. And there was ladies in there. There was a woman she just come up. She just had a shit, and the door was left open, and she.
The weekly turd section.
No, but this is what's happening. It smelled of cider.
Here we go. Straight to the arsehole.
Cider, right? And the other girls couldn't use that one there because it was a big mess. I don't know. The cider mustn't have brought up all the broth that she'd eaten and carrot. So I just went in there and I hosed it down. Yeah. No, and they could use it. Now, when the other girls were washing their hands, it was standing there, hands out of use. Can you go? Because it was crowded, you know. And I love your legs, and you look really nice. I says, oh, no. And they were so accommodating. But
Yep,
just to go in there.
I have a memory on this, actually. Yeah, when he walked out, he was going to be Ninjina, just telling, I think it was in Matt's Cafe, he was telling us that. I wasn't sure if it was going to happen or not. I remember you took me through a few shops in town shopping for clothes for Ninjina.
Yeah,
and
baggy. I had to get baggy. I needed baggy.
Yeah, we went to the lingerie stores, and I don't recall seeing you actually buy anything, so I was thinking, is it all just talk? But then one day I was down in Chapter, and then there you were, like damn near in 7 feet tall, of incredible statuesque elegance, and you had these French girls flocking around you, and they just loved it. You were like RuPaul before RuPaul was famous. And full credit to you. Ninjina was mind blowing. You really should revive Ninjina.
The alpha female.
Yeah.
I will say Ninjina was not an influence in me coming out as trans. Drag in general has not been an influence on me, but you were an influence in my burlesque.
Okay, talking about burlesque, let's bounce off that. Let's talk about some of the stuff you do creatively, because I know you're quite busy and you do delve into lots of different areas. Burlesque being one of them. What else have you been up to creatively?
I suppose I still am a writer. I only write fanfic these days. I tried my hand at a couple of novels.
That book that you've written is absolutely fucking amazing, and the detail in it. My gosh. What's the name of the book now?
Well, there were 2 books. One of them was called Gloriana's Mask, which was a fantasy novel.
Not that one.
And the other one was a vampire book called Wolves of Dacia.
Yeah.
Thank you. Which just went out of print, sadly. The publishers folded. Gosh. And the last copy that was available in South Wales was in Bridgend Library and is no longer there because they culled it. And my hubby thankfully saved it, and we've got it now at home.
Go on, hubby. Yeah. Fight in the cause. Fuck Bridgend Library.
My hubby works at Bridgend Library.
Oops.
So don't fuck it too much.
Yeah, we've already lost one person their job, so yeah, we'll take that back. Which book was that? That was the Wolves of Dacia.
Wolves of Dacia, my vampire book. Yes.
Fantastic.
Sorry, can I just ask you a question? Sorry, I'm really sorry to interrupt that.
No, you're
no. Do you think that the real world can be transmuted into a fantasy kingdom in some way or other? Just as now, we have people, experimenting so much more with their dress, becoming, transforming themselves, etc. Can we transform our world, into a fabulous, something more fabulous?
I would love to, but I don't think so. Unfortunately, there's too much.
it's just for novels. It's mainly.
The problem is, I mean, I believe in magic in its own way. I certainly believe that everything is energy and that can be influenced and manipulated and turned into various forms. The problem is the people who've been most successful at turning it to their own will have turned it into money and power, and they've turned that entirely to create their own little fantasy kingdoms, where the rest of us are excluded from by gated communities and security guards. Doing that for the rest of us is difficult. Unfortunately, I can't imagine. I guess I've lost hope in the idea of a utopia. And besides which, whose utopia? Everyone's got such distinct ideas about what the ideal society would look like. I don't know if you could find a consensus.
Can we make glamorous, more, I know areas of the world which are in a sense fantasy lands, like we had Disneyland obviously in Florida, which is I guess a prototype for this sort of thing, but maybe a very different move than that. It could be more adult oriented, not like I don't know, for roller coasters and children's roller coasters. Well, yeah, we do, but we also you love the fantasy novels as well, right? Which are more a bit more, I don't know, sort of serious and sort of dark in places,
sort of like themed communes. You can have like a Skyrim commune and a vampire commune and stuff like that.
What one thing I was playing with, is that Donald Trump's line "Make America Great." Well, why not make Camelot great again? Why not make Camelot great again? Yeah, exactly. I mean, we do have these places a little bit, like there's St. Vagons, there's St. Vagons, we have
a Cornish speaker here. Oh, damn. Sorry, I've knocked my mic off. We have a Cornish speaker here.
That's the one, which is thank you.
And Tintagel and Camelot are supposedly in Cornwall, so maybe we just need to turn Cornwall into an Arthurian commune.
Oh, yeah, well,
and you could be the new King Arthur.
Well, we could be. Well, if I'm the new King Arthur, right? Flap Sandwich says he'll get rid of me. He'll take the thing there and burn my stuff on Thursday in a skip.
What? I said I'd get rid of you.
Well, take everything.
You fucking liar. You fucking liar. You asked me, how do I declutter? And I said, bonfire. How the fuck is that getting rid of you? I can declutter you if you want, mate. Right now. Fucking liar.
So, the guy was banged out by Helen, right? Now, being attacked by people, you've had to defend yourself, It's an incident where, a couple of incidents where people are directly being aggressive to you and Ellen. Well, he got sparked out and the police arrested him.
I don't need it, I've got a mic on.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, he got sparked. Yeah, What happened?
Yeah, Cardiff's got a bit aggressive over the past few years. There's just a lot more down and outs on the street, and they're not very nice.
So how many of you panned out between you and Helena?
I got around banging out with the crusade,
I have a friend, Helena, also transgender, and she doesn't like taking crap from people, and she has... I don't know the exact details, but generally accepted guy was transphobic to her on a bench in the city centre, and she chinned him and he fell off the bench.
There we go.
Like that.
So there's your top tip. If you live in Cardiff or if you live anywhere, don't be transphobic or you're going to get sparked out.
Banged the fuck out. Banged the fuck out.
So we spoke of your books there. Is the other one still available? The
Gloriana's Mask is still available on Amazon. Yes.
On Amazon, Gloriana's Mask by Ele Burns.
It's a sort
classic.
Of a cross between Game of Thrones and Phantom of the Opera. Right?
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was a great book.
Thank you.
Fantastic. So grab yourself a copy of that. What else can we talk about creatively? Burlesque. Tell us about your burlesque and where you're at with it.
Yeah, that was. I've always wanted to dance. And I didn't really get into it until about 2018 when I decided to join the local burlesque group. I'd been aware of them for some years, but until I was out, it was like it was just a distant fantasy, even if I could have joined them as my male self, so to speak, I wouldn't have wanted to. So finally, I plucked up the courage in 2018 to go there, and yeah, it was they were such a lovely group, and I was doing group dances in a couple of months, and I did a solo in about a year after joining, and that was a Phantom of the Opera theme. I love Phantom of the Opera for some reason. I guess it's just that whole theme of
I
height.
liked it as well.
Yeah. Great concept of that
I've
change
always,
and
yeah,
perception and just self-image that you get out of it. It's for someone with a sense of dysphoria, it's a really it's a tale. Which is not to say I'm some sort of psychopath who dwells underneath an opera house and kills people. Though why not? I mean, it's a valid career choice.
It's it's a very adventurous and romantic idea. The idea of Mars, actually, I mean, which is relevant to today. Obviously, it's interesting. But I mean, yeah, but I don't know. It's Mars, had can be adventurous and sort of romantic sort of things, can't they? Sorry. Yeah, I love the soundtrack to Phantom, the musical Phantom of the Opera. Did you like that as well?
Yeah, I quite like the Lloyd Webber version, though. I don't think he's quite at the level of Stephen Sondheim. Sweeney Todd's probably my favorite musical. I don't know. I don't know. It's just it's a little bit too, I don't know, British almost. There's a certain stuffiness to it that you just don't get in Sondheim. He's much more quirky and witty, and also just the music, the intricacy of the music in Sondheim hangs together in an almost operatic way. I think Lloyd Webber would like to be operatic. I mean, that's the whole point of Phantom of the Opera, but it doesn't quite work as an opera, whereas Sweeney Todd, I mean, as I recall, Sondheim, one of Sondheim's friends at the New York Met, actually said, "Why didn't you come to us with this?" And he said, "Well, it's just a musical." He said, "No, this is a legitimate opera. We could have put this on at the Met for you," which I don't think Andrew Lloyd Webber was ever in any danger of being asked, which is not to deride Phantom. It works perfectly well as a musical, but yeah. Not great art, but a great musical still.
I've always felt like Phantom of the Opera. I've always felt like that, like Britain, that kind of thing there. In the, I relate to that so much.
Did you feel when you were growing up that the people around you, the society, was that your fellow citizens were wearing masks, were very heavy with masks, and in some way or not? Is that an idea which struck you at all? Or?
Yeah, I think most people, or certainly a lot of people, put on a facade. It's certainly a society which encourages you to be very guarded with showing your true colors.
Do you think that's changed at all in your lifetime? Is it stayed about the same, or has it changed the nature of it, or has it got better? Has it got worse?
I think it's changed a bit. Certainly a lot of, I mean, within the community I move, that is the queer community. So that self-expression is a huge thing, and a lot of them feel a lot of the reaction against the queer community is people thinking, well, I don't feel able to express myself, so why should you be able to do that?
Yeah. Movement is very, very important. And not with movement. I've seen you evolve so much in.
You always encourage me to
with movement and expression. The first burlesque concert that was done, that you starred in.
Yeah, my Phantom of the Opera fan dance.
Yeah, what was it like, the first one? What did it feel like? Did you get off on that?
Just amazing. I mean, there were technical issues. The stage curtain didn't work properly at the beginning. I could hear the crowd laughing. And I was thinking, I'm going to die on my feet out here. But then it got underway. I made a couple of mistakes, but I don't think anyone noticed them. And then at the end, just the applause was just phenomenal.
Standing ovation.
Standing ovation.
It was. Yeah. Come on. The whole room erupted.
Well, I've seen standing ovations at most debut performances, to be fair, but I mean, afterwards,
You stole the show, man. That was
Oh,
incredible.
thank you.
It blew everyone away. People were tearing up, you know.
Oh,
Yeah, true. You know, and I was encouraged movement. I noticed when you was moving, you was more of you was coming out, and you had your own way, and it was just amazing. And when I kept the Zumba.
yeah, I went to one of your Zumba classes.
And when you started to move and you tried, you said that one I'm not comfortable with, and then you tried it, and then you engaged it, and it was just like you just float. You made it your own, and that's
very kind of you.
amazing.
I think though the only style for me now is burlesque.
And your
to
grace,
be honest,
your graces, your movements and your graces.
That was the thing that really annoyed me about COVID. It just killed my burlesque. I was really just getting into it, and I loved doing my solos, and then it's like, oh, all gone. Really annoying.
A lot of women as well could learn from you as a woman as well, because some when they don't have, you have a unique grace. Some of them, it's like they're kicking buildings over.
Well, that's all right if you want to be kaiju, isn't it? Or Godzilla, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you describe to us what is the essence of burlesque? What does that mean? How would you sum up that genre? How would you sum that?
Well, as part of what Ninja was saying, they're wanting that elegance and that control and that, but it's a cross between becoming sort of totally happy with your self-image by being totally, in a sense, totally vulnerable. I mean, not that you're ever fully nude in classic burlesque. It's an illusion of nudity, but at the same time, you are bearing yourself on stage, both creatively and physically. So it takes a lot of nerve, and it takes a lot of work as well, because you've got to do that choreography, you've got to nail those movements, and you've got to create your own costumes and your own props, come up with a story and everything. It's like
present.
Exactly, yeah. So it's not only a question of design and imagination, it's a question of then embodying that design and imagination and then doing it all live in front of however sorry, I don't know. The banana could lead into something here. But yeah. May I tell a story about a banana in burlesque? Actually, I want to tell a story about a banana in burlesque.
Okay, we haven't got long left, so let's do the banana story.
Okay.
And then...
One of my great burlesque inspirations, Josephine Baker, born in 1906 in New Orleans. Black girl, she was, because being black in New Orleans in 1906 was an awful place to be. She was on the streets for a while. She was in domestic service at 8 years old and being abused by the white lady she was working for. Yeah, horrible. She got into vaudeville and she left America in her 20s for France, and she never looked back. Her career just exploded. She was a sensation. One of her famous dances, she had just a necklace and a skirt made of bananas, and this was so popular. There was a banana company asked her to endorse their bananas. As if, our bananas are good enough to be on Josephine Baker's skirt. And just to finish off the badassery of this, during World War II, because she was too big a celebrity name for the Nazis to take down, I mean, they were racist, but black people weren't on their priority kill list yet. So she was still able to move around a bit as an entertainer. The French resistance used her as a spy to carry messages. She'd write them in invisible ink on her sheet music, or she'd carry them in her underwear and gamble at being in her baggie, gambling she wouldn't be strip searched because she was a celebrity. And she survived till the end of the war. And this lady who was treated like dirt in her home country became a Chevalier of the Legion of Honor in France, knighted by de Gaulle. And I think she will now be the first black lady to be interred in the Pantheon in Paris, which is about the highest honor you can have.
Wow, inspirational.
That's burlesque for me.
And
that's burlesque.
Thing about burlesque, and Matt was asking me, it is not like, right?
It's a reaction to Victorian morality. It's a reaction to like
this is not burlesque, right?
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. Let me explain. Yeah, so you can see. But
It
let's
might be, you know.
no, that is not. That is just someone taking.
Is
their
it?
clothes
Was it
off.
like a reaction to Victorian
it's
austerity
more-
or
Almost certainly, yes. And in America, where that sort of puritanical spirit lasted longer, you have burlesque performers getting arrested, even like after this day, like in the 40s. There was Sally Round, who came up with the fan dance, was arrested twice for doing a dance where she wasn't even nude. She was wearing a body stocking.
Yeah.
So she was dressed from head to toe, but the police, it's like the speed cameras of the day. They wanted an easy arrest, so they went in, nabbed her twice. Eventually, a judge had to come down and watch her do the dance and told the police, "You've got dirty minds, just never ever bring this lady before me again." And there was nothing lewd without that at all. One can make of it what one will.
Yeah. So burlesque is more in the present.
Ningina Von Teese.
Can it? Is this burlesque?
Possibly, if.
Yeah, so burlesque presents itself. It is an art, like unwrapping a present, it suggests. Yeah. Cut. Booyah. No. You're getting hot.
What the fuck? Okay, so just going to go to the chat. We got Launchpad McQuack says Ninja Arthur, the Pendragon. That's all he says. Anthony Birdseye says, I used to serve a few of you at Waterloo Tea. Glad to see you doing well. Really interesting streams. Keep it up.
Oh,
Nice one, Anthony.
Nice one, Anthony.
Big up yourself. Okay, so we'll have to finish up in a sec. So, Ellie, what are you up to now and next? What's next for Eleanor Burns?
Well, I'm applying to a few performing agencies because I want to see if I can find somebody to get me some more gigs now that things are opening up a bit. I could go back to the local burlesque group, but a lot of my old friends there just seem to have drifted away. And I kind of don't want to do the group dances anymore. I'm just hungry to do more solos. That's where I really want to be. It sounds a bit pretentious that like I almost don't feel... I feel too good to be a mere chorus school again. It's the creativity aspect. I just love coming up with my own routines. Learning someone else's routine just isn't the same. So fingers crossed something will happen there. It's been an uphill struggle trying to get any sort of artistic work off the ground since COVID. But I haven't given up on it. It's just been slow.
And would you say the dance has helped your confidence as a person?
Oh, definitely. Absolutely. There's nothing quite so like that immediate sensation. Sometimes when you're creating something, like when you're writing, you don't know whether you're doing well or not, but with dance you know instantly whether you've done well or not. You know if you've messed up the steps, and the feedback of live performance is intoxicating.
And will you be writing any more books?
I'm writing a fanfic at the moment, which is a crossover between Transformers and Steven Universe. It's not very highbrow, but there we go. Archive of our own.
let me ask you that. Is today's new Victorian Puritanism, is it American blandism? Is that something that's are we rebelling against American blandism in the same way that they were rebelling against Victorian Puritanism?
Can you define blandism?
I don't. I mean, so I don't know. Not Nike. I don't know t-shirts. The general look of
capitalism.
The lack of diversity in the average man walking down the street nowadays.
Shut the fuck up now. It's coming to the end. So the last words are.
Oh. There's something in that.
Thank you.
I do.
Thank you.
And there's something in this. Bye. This is Tafad Tan. Booyah.